Do 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 do. Oh, hello again. I was just doing my I'm so happy that college is back in session jig. So, are you back again for another student success tip? Well, I've got one for you, and this one's not only useful, but also a lot of fun. For this one, creativity is the name of the game. So, let's talk about the exciting world of mnemonics. Besides the weird spelling of the word, mnemonics are a very interesting topic. Simply put, mnemonics are memory aids that help someone to remember something that is difficult to remember on its own. This may sound a little confusing at first, but I think an example will help make things much clearer. Many of us probably remember the order of the colors of the rainbow by remembering the name Roy G. Biv. Now let's take these letters and arrange them vertically. So, what is the order of the colors of the rainbow? Now it's easy to remember. Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. Although you probably learned about Roy G. Biv a long time ago, you probably didn't know that this name is an example of a mnemonic. Roy G. Biv happens to be an example of a type of mnemonic called an acronym. In an acronym, the first letters of each word in a list of terms to be remembered are combined to form a new, easier to remember word. You can probably think of other examples of acronyms that you already know. For example, have any of you learned to treat a sprained joint by applying the RICE method? This familiar acronym helps us to remember to treat a sprain by first resting, then icing, then compressing, and finally elevating the sprain. See how helpful acronyms can be? But acronyms are only one type of mnemonic device. Let's look at some others. Another type of mnemonic device that is similar to acronyms is acrostics. The words even look similar. Acrostics differ from acronyms in that acrostics take the first letter of each word from a list to be memorized and then create a memorable sentence or phrase to aid in memory. Let's look at an example of an acrostic that I learned years ago in high school from my math teacher. Some old horse came a-hopping to our alley. It just so happens that if you can memorize this sentence, which most people can in a few seconds, you should never again forget the formulas for sine, cosine, and tangent. If we rearrange the first letters from each word in the sentence, we get the following. Sine equals opposite over hypotenuse, cosine equals adjacent over hypotenuse, and tangent equals opposite over adjacent. Not too shabby, right? Remember, the goal of any mnemonic is to help you remember important information. Therefore, it is important to make the mnemonic itself as memorable as possible. In this example, the mental image of a horse hopping down an alley is a hard one to forget. You'll probably still remember it when you're in the old folks' home. Of course, that's the point after all. Now let's take a look at one more type of mnemonic. This last type of mnemonic is called chunking. Chunking involves taking a long list of things to be remembered and then breaking the list into smaller groups. Memorizing these smaller groups is much easier than memorizing the whole list. Think of the telephone number that you remember by breaking it up into 3 parts: area code, prefix, and the final 4 digits. Breaking the number up this way makes it much easier for you to remember. Or take another example. Look at this list of letters. Now, let's do some chunking. If we break this list up into 3-letter chunks, we get FBI, CIA, NSA, and SEC. Again, these chunks are much easier to remember than the entire list as a whole. I think by this point, you have already begun to see how useful mnemonics can be. Keep in mind that these are just a few of the many types of mnemonics. Do a Google search for other mnemonics that might work better for you personally. 2 last points about mnemonics that I would like to stress. Number 1, make the mnemonic as memorable as possible. The entire point of creating a mnemonic is to help you remember some other important information. And number 2, explore different mnemonics and find out which ones work best for you. It might be some of the ones I've mentioned here, or you might find others that work better. Okay, that's all for this tip. Go forth, my young friends, and explore the magic of mnemonics.